Hello, and welcome to Production and Profit, the show that pulls back the curtain on the business of show business. I'm Margot Ransom, veteran servant on the financial side of the industry. Together, we will hear from experts in the field, sharing their wisdom and experience, all with an eye to helping your project to the finish line. Here's where it gets interesting. Let's see what's on the docket today. Hello, audience. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm connected with many very interesting and successful people in entertainment on LinkedIn. And so I figured I would just present a smorgasbord, a little sampling, if you will, of their wisdom on here. And I'm going to start with Michael Steven Robbins, that's with two B's, Robbins. And he is the producer of Accursed Man, which has been at the #1 Apple TV documentary. I'm not sure if it still is, but it was there. It has been there for weeks, and it's now streaming there. And he writes, most of my Zoom talks with producers come down to one thing, trying to convince them to self-release their film and build their own marketing instead of handing it over to a sales agent or a traditional distributor. I've seen too many producers give their films away only to end up with nothing in return. Sadly, many still choose that route, and months later I get the same calls. I wish I'd done it differently. The truth is, self-releasing is not easy, but it gives you control, transparency, and the ability to actually see a return. Traditional distribution? For most indie filmmakers, it's a dead end. To all my producer friends, I genuinely wish you success. Be careful. You've worked too hard to get your film made just to hand it over and never see it again. And my next LinkedIn connection that I'm going to bring you is Anthony D'Ambrosio. And he produced a film about St. Maximilian Kolbe, who, for those of you that don't know, he was in Auschwitz and he offered to take the place of one of 10 men that were going to be sent to the starvation cell in punishment for another prisoner that escaped. I actually invested a small amount in this, and I wanted to share with you the reasons why. Not only did I believe in the project, but because of the solid presentation. He provided statistics of similar films. He had a pre-deal with Polish theaters, and Maximilian Kolbe was Polish. And he cited Google searches for the subject matter, showing that people wanted to see this story, and his projections were quite conservative. And it was really his faith on it. He went to Poland with basically no money, just on faith, and he was able to shoot this film and then raised money as he was producing it. But I want to share with you what he wrote. He writes, filmmakers pitch investors constantly. They've got slick decks, compelling stories, and comps promising big returns. But most investors know the truth. Film is the fastest way to lose everything. They've been burned or know someone who has because they don't understand what makes a movie a winner. Real estate or a roofing business offers similar returns with far less risk of going to zero. Here's what investors should focus on and what filmmakers must prioritize in their pitch. Forget film experience. Look for startup grit, marketing savvy, and business acumen. A movie takes years to produce and sell. Along the way, 1,000 crises, each a potential project killer, will derail the plan. Our film had nearly 1 million in opening weekend pre-sales. Then AMC politics and a surprise blockbuster tanked our theatrical run. We had to refund over 100,000 because theaters would not honor our buyouts. A typical film would have collapsed, but we're not typical. With a decade of startup scars, we pivoted fast, launching premium theatrical events and securing new streaming partnerships with a clear path to profitability. From day one, we obsessed over economics, not just a good movie idea. That's rare in indie film. Investors don't write off movies entirely. This medium matters. Our kids will spend more time with screens than with parents or pastors. If we don't invest, our culture fizzles and the next generation's minds get hijacked. But don't throw millions at noble art either. Vet teams for entrepreneurial thinking and distribution savvy. Demand backup plans, 10 of them, for when theatrical or distribution channels implode. Filmmakers, think like entrepreneurs. Pitch like you're selling a business, not a dream. And don't ask for a $2 million budget because similar films did $10 million. That's meaningless. A $2 million production needs a rock-solid path to 12 million in box office or VOD. Without locked-in distribution, your budget should not exceed 500,000 ever. Time will tell if our next launch succeeds, but the point stands. Bet on teams that treat film like a business, not a gamble. By the way, the name of Anthony's film on the life of St. Maximilian Kolbe is Triumph of the Heart. That was kind of important to mention also. And next I have Paul Wookie, and his title is Entertainment Investment and Executive. And in all caps on his profile, he writes, "Please don't pitch me films unless they are fit for funding." So he's serious. And here's what Paul writes. Most filmmakers know the creative side inside out, yet struggle to translate that vision into a language investors understand. That's where the gap is. Investors want spreadsheet comparables, risk mitigation, and exit strategies. Filmmakers want to talk story, cast, and artistic vision. The projects that get funded, they're the ones that manage to do both. That's why I spend so much of my time helping filmmakers refine their pitch deck, package projects with the right partners, and build a narrative that excites investors and stays true to the story. Because when you can prove that your film is not only worth making, but worth backing, the conversation shifts from "why should I fund this" to "how do I get involved?" The truth is, funding isn't just about access, luck, or connections. It's about clarity, confidence, and strategy. And if more filmmakers learned to bridge the creative and the commercial, we'd see a lot more films getting made. If you're a filmmaker struggling with this exact challenge, I'd love to hear what's been the hardest part of your journey so far. And my next connection is Wesley. There's no second E in Wesley Lapioli. And he's an entrepreneur, filmmaker, musician, director, and founder of Unlock the Rock Entertainment, a media company with a track record of impact and profitability. We are laser focused on creating media that entertains and inspires. And so what Wesley writes is, imagine losing about $7.3 million on something you felt was really important and special. How would you feel? The higher ups in your industry don't feel like they can trust you anymore because of this loss. One of my favorite movies of all time is It's a Wonderful Life, and this is exactly what happened to Frank Capra, the director. I adjusted the amount based on inflation, but good crap, it did not do well in the theater. It was an entire 30 years later that it took its place in cinema history as it started being played on TV. This is always a great reminder to me to just keep trucking along. Win or lose in the theaters, story and art will always be important and worth fighting for. If one of my favorite movies of all time sucked balls at the box office, why would it be easy for any of us? I geek out big time holding a production used screenplay from the movie if you really want to dig in. And here he provides a link that I'm going to put in the show notes. It's a $10,000 It's a Wonderful Life script evaluation, and it's very entertaining to watch. He actually is holding a script that was used on set for It's a Wonderful Life, worth 10,000. I don't know if he paid that much for it or it's just worth that. But anyway, what he does on this video is he opens to the page of a script and he kind of breaks it down, and then he shows the scene and see how it played out or didn't play out. And it's just very entertaining to watch. I recommend it. And then he ends with, "My filmmaker homies, let's keep fighting and leave the complaints about our industry to the uncreative." Thank you, Wesley. My next post is from Daren Smith, and that's with one R. He is an independent film producer creating blockbuster indies at Craftsman Films and Producer Fund One. Daren writes, "I've seen a handful of consultants posing as investors over the last few months. Here's what to look for so you don't get fleeced. In the film world, there's a simple rule of thumb. Money should flow toward the filmmaker. That means investors put in equity and get their return from recoupment and profits. Banks lend against tax credits or pre-sales and get paid back with interest. Distributors license or pre-buy and pay you on delivery. All of those are legitimate flows of capital. Where it flips and becomes a red flag, number one, quote, investors who require large upfront service fees, 20 to 50,000, just to, quote, review your project. Two, quote, financiers who bundle packaging, legal, and sales support into a consulting fee. And number three, anyone who promises access to investors if you pay first. Yes, filmmakers do cover normal costs, legal, insurance, bonding, escrow, but those are closing costs deducted from actual funding, not tens of thousands wired up front with no guarantee of capital. The difference is clear. Thank you, Daren. My next connection is Morton Forland. He's a film and TV director. And he helps indie directors level up their craft with his weekly newsletter where he shares actionable ideas and systems. And he writes, "You might think the hardest part of filmmaking is getting it made. And you'd be right, except the realization you have when your film hits the real world. Then comes the real challenge, getting people to care. I made that mistake with Wild Boys. We finished the film and realized no one was waiting for it. Not buyers, not streamers, not an audience. We had spent everything to get it into the can and forgot to ask the most important question: who is this film actually for?" Marketing starts long before the film is done. It starts with a question: who am I making this for? If your answer is everyone, you've already lost. Here's what I do now: define the audience while writing the script, create content during production that speaks to them, build a community before the premiere. The work is the same, it's storytelling, but now the story is about why your film matters and who should see it. Filmmakers, how early do you think about your audience? And the next one is the famous Darman. And for those of you who don't know who he is, he's the #1 digital scripted storyteller in the world. 145 billion plus followers across platforms, 10 billion views per year, spreading positivity and inspiration. And I saw a clip with his CEO, and he did a comparison to put this in perspective with Nielsen ratings, and he just pulled out only US and only primetime and only 18 to 49-year-olds. And Dar would be the largest scripted TV show on US linear TV every single night. And there's a picture of him with two fellows on either side. On one side, Roger Goodell, NFL commissioner. On the other, Neil Mohan, CEO of YouTube. What we talk about? Not what you think. What started as a casual game talk with two of the most powerful people in sports and media turned into a bigger conversation about how football is being reimagined for a new generation of fans. The NFL and YouTube are not just streaming games, they're rewriting how fans experience them. Sunday Ticket on YouTube has already pulled in a younger audience. Creator-led streams are letting personalities bring their communities into the action. And this season's opener in Brazil streamed globally for free, reaching millions. Standing there, what struck me is that the NFL, one of the most traditional institutions in America, is rewriting its own playbook. And that's bigger than football. It's a reminder for every business. There's a shift happening from one-way broadcast to two-way participation. People don't just want your product, they want the experience around it, the communities, the conversations, the culture. Success today is not about clinging to legacy models. It's about meeting people where they already are. For the NFL, that's YouTube. And my next connection is Tyler Reed. He's a professional misfit in the film and entertainment industry. He talks about filmmaking and creating a sustainable career as a creative across LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. And Tyler writes, "One of the clearest divisions I've seen between US and European filmmaking is how each side thinks about distribution and financing. The way EU, or international films for that matter, see distribution is much different than how the US sees distribution, and it's the same for financing. The how films are made is nearly similar. The way they get made is far different. Painting with a broad brush here, so don't blast me in the comments, but most EU films are financed through public funds, broadcasters, and co-productions. That means distribution goals lean more toward prestige, critical recognition, and reaching the right niche audience. Since they don't, quote, owe money, the initial or first goal is not to try and make as much money, or even enough, to pay back the money. The film is more about the art than the commerce. Even for those funding bodies like public funds, broadcaster, co-productions, co-financiers, it's about cultural relevance, local infrastructure support, even international prestige. All are important, and again, oftentimes before earning money is even in the conversation. In the US, films are financed primarily through equity and debt, so distribution is centered around ROI through the widest possible audience/reach for the most part. Of course, you have players like A24 Neon and others that look at international films and find the ones they believe can deliver strong financial returns in the US. I think a lot of US filmmakers don't realize that US filmmakers and EU filmmakers see the goals of films differently. Again, broad strokes. This is just coming from my perspective of my experience having worked at an international co-financing company with over 1,300 projects financed in the last 30 years, and seeing how differently filmmakers in the US and Europe approach financing and distribution. Thanks for your insight, Tyler. And now we have another Tyler, Tyler Chow, and she is the founder and CEO of Tyler Chow Law for Creators and fractional CEO to mega YouTubers. And her mission is to protect creators. Tyler writes, over 1,000 creators have met with me and received my advice in the past 18 months since I started my law firm for creators. Yes, my team counted and created a database of all their issues. Here are the top 10 issues and what I will cover this week at Vid Summit during my presentation, Life Cycle of a Creator, First Upload to Exit. These are my case studies from actual clients. Number one, I started my YouTube channel with my best friend, and now he claims he owns 50% of it. Number two, an IP troll is threatening 18 copyright strikes. Help me, I'm terrified. Number three, I want you to sell my YouTube channel for 50 million. Number four, I regret giving my app developer a revenue share. Help me get out of this contract. Number five, I want to license my back catalog of videos on my YouTube channel. Which streamers can we talk to and how many hours of content do I need? Number six, I did not trademark my handle name and now a bigger creator sent me a cease and desist. What do I do? Number seven, a fast food chain is threatening to sue me for trespassing when I filmed a video without permission. Help. Number eight, I made $400,000 with my community launch, but I need help protecting my IP and a tight terms of service so they abide by my strict guidelines. Number nine, my former trademark attorney charged me over 50,000, but my trademarks are still not final. What do I do? Number 10, I have over 200 podcast interviews, including one with Robert Downey Jr. and every ex-CEO of Disney. Help me start a YouTube channel. I get a lot of help me start a YouTube channel as a professional. Many of my clients are professional educational channels, many doctors, lawyers, finance experts, accountants, therapists who all want to share their knowledge with the world, not for marketing purposes. These examples are probably 0.1% of the work I've done in the past 18 months, and I'm beyond proud that every one of these issues were resolved by my team and me. I'm living my dream life with a purpose-driven life where my mission is to protect creators and grow their empires. When I started my law firm for creators 2 years ago, my former colleagues in Hollywood said, "Don't do it. You'll be babysitting kids. There's no money in that space." Now, Tyler, you're such a pioneer and a visionary. Come join our big law firm. We can give you a home. I smile and say, no thanks. I have more business than I can service. But I am having to say no to smaller creators. But I will not forget them. I'm starting a community for those smaller creators. Launching in the next 2 weeks, I will open the door to the almost 1,000 creators on my wait list to fulfill my promise to them and thank them for filling out the wait list. I find it interesting the problems that these YouTubers have. I thought you might too. Anyway, that's today's show. Hope you found it interesting, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I enjoyed recording it. If you ever have suggestions or requests for guests you'd like to hear from on our show, drop me a line. My contact information is in the show notes. Until we meet again, stay cool. I don't care.